Well, thank you, Don. The players are just returning to the ice, and as a matter of fact, they have just announced the presentation by the Soviet Ice Hockey Federation to Maltsev, Alexander Maltsev, and to Jerry Cheevers as the two most outstanding players in the game here on Tuesday night.
And it was a rather deep gash, and they used this particular treatment so that he wouldn't miss any ice time, but they frantically called for Jerry Wilson a few seconds later.
喺綠化去保到呢個即係平衡呢個局面啊，所以出現嘅情況咧，我哋睇到咧，下下6-3個球員咧都搶快一步，暫時嚟睇係咁啊。第一時間都去攔截啊，下下快對手一步嘅，史利普頓，哎呀又掃跌咗，艾德利治俾人踢低咗，又係後盾嘅主體呢個自由球，側邊有個摩利士喺度啦。 成炸埋去頂啊！吹罰咗㗎啦，吹罰咗呢個愛爾蘭㗎啦。作為我哋啲球迷嚟講咧，
Open the scoring here this afternoon. Oh, a beautiful shot.
終於咧又俾呢個麥卡菲咧踢咗出去橫邊界外啦。
嗱，大家可以發覺到咧，就英格蘭、愛爾蘭方面嘅打法咧，相當同好似西德、意大利打法唔同㗎。佢將嗰啲中場啊推得好前啊，喺對方嘅後半場已經係逼佢啦，變咗逼得好緊啊，冇機會俾佢送入嚟。唔同英德啊、西德嗰啲咁啊，所以好後嘅防守線。又係麥卡菲頂出，笠手，又有人追住佢啦！艾德烈治已經追住佢啦，幾犀利啊！鬥崩啊！ 冇事啊，旁證話冇事啊，冇事就追佢啦。咁但係可惜追唔到啦，俾亞當斯咧將個波送翻俾守門員咧斯路頓。英格蘭慢慢睇定咗嚟打啦，而家頭先俾人哋攻咗一輪。史提芬斯、班尼斯、亞當斯。 有長傳過嚟左邊，但係冇用啦，已經俾人一夾死咗啦。終於個波出咗界，愛爾蘭嘅界外球，6號嘅亞當斯。我哋有冇發覺啊？即係打到而家，英格蘭嘅班尼斯咧都未踢過波，連尼加又未踢過波，比亞士尼又未踢過波啊！係啊，因為咧佢呢個咧係愛爾蘭咧差唔多撳住佢前場嚟打，所以佢好難咧係將個波解到圍出嚟。 心神預備去抌界外球啦，冇晒表情，冇晒表情啦。又大局斬過前面，就頂到波啦！呢個咧比亞士利，但係頂又頂失咗啦。曉頓回送翻俾守門員邦拿。 邦拿咧亦都係些路迪嘅球員嚟㗎，頂咗出界咧就變咗咧係愛爾蘭嘅界外球啦。愛爾蘭方面佢中場咧真係撳得幾好啊，阿領隊嚇，佢撳得好好啊，變咗愛爾蘭英格蘭方面冇辦法將波打入對方嘅禁區嘅。因為英格蘭本身咧都係想踢技術型啲嘅，通常都係想猜波上去嘅。 咁如果遇到咁體力化嘅攔截咧，暫時係猜唔起上嚟啦，睇個情況。卜鼻粒手，我成日影住佢，目無表情啊！班尼斯希望有好啲表現啊！又係啦，呢個愛爾蘭咧將個波掟翻出嚟，話到曉頓又頂翻。咁實際上咧，大家咧都係喺呢個咧喺英國踢波咧，大家咧路數都差唔多，都已經熟㗎啦嚇。 亞當斯冇人喺側邊，心神推順望喺前面，有冇人接應啊？有啦，人哋都撳住啦。呢個連尼加咧根本都冇啖好食啦，俾啦呢個咧麥卡菲又頂橫咗32場國際賽嘅經驗㗎啦，已經。心神又過到前場，不
班尼斯嗱，你話冇波踢，佢即刻有波踢啦。笠神。
欣賞佢嘅啦，已經。
陳永安嗰陣時都好似打魚喎。
係啊係啊，我心儀嘅對象呢個。
今晚你可以欣賞下佢啦，俾翻佢，俾阿士利俾翻佢。好啦，俾麥加菲壓住佢啊！終於俾摩利先翻嚟啦，將個波咧吹罰添啊，吹罰埋連尼加。咁啊，連尼加咧頭先阿揾到都講過啊，喺32場國際賽裏邊咧係射咗26球咁多嘅。我睇下佢今晚點樣啊表現啦。當拿，愛爾蘭嘅門將又過去啦！呢個咧係英格蘭嘅中場啦。莫利斯，哇！咁遠就回送翻俾守門員啦！16分鐘㗎喎，雖然而家係贏緊1-0。話到冇去唔到啦，去唔到啦。現時嘅紀錄咧仲係1-0啊！愛爾蘭咧暫時領先。好啦，睇有冇機會啦，連尼加冇越位嚟啊！哎呀，呢個波你話如果冇越位就點啊？係得列治，好在咧，斯路頓咧將個波截到。森神、亞當斯、森神、胡禮，又俾翻斯提芬斯，冇辦法喎。英格蘭好似冚唪唥喺前場就俾人及住咯。斯路頓、班尼斯，係有冇機會？班尼斯連尼加，哎呀，可惜啦！呢個波又俾麥加菲飆出嚟，將個波截到。想用個後抽啊，華道啊，過唔到啊，終於過唔到摩利斯。森神又上嚟前場咧，抌咗個界外球。好啦，睇有冇機會啦，連尼加定壓之下，最後咧俾麥加菲壓住佢啊！有個回傳，係冇啦，已經俾麥格夫咧將個波挑到。班尼斯又攞翻，摩利斯又頂出，韋伯、史提芬斯又嚟啦，笠神教唔教炮啊？教唔到啦，森神又俾翻笠神。哎呀，彈埋中間，而家輪到英格蘭撳翻嚟砌啦。好啦，而家加文又雪嚟過，後盾。英格蘭好似打定咗之後咧，就已經開始咧控制翻個戰局咯喎。韋伯又嚟過。連尼加有冇機會啊？咁但係冇啦，俾翻嚟個麥格夫咧頂橫咗。曉頓、加雲一轉身咧，就已經俾人哋扯咗出界。咁亞當斯咧走翻嚟自己後半場睇定呢個艾德列治先。好啦，而家加文又雪嚟過，後盾，班尼斯喺面前咧抱住佢，斬到右邊啦！哎呀，呢個波頂唔到啊！但可惜啊，已經係吹罰咗啦。
頭先同安仔講過啦，阿德利治嘅威力相當之大㗎，一講就即刻有入波啊！係啦，安仔覺得咧就愛爾蘭方面佢局人局得好好啊，咁佢嘅打法係咪好似對英格蘭咁打法咧？
我諗佢哋應該戰術。
哎呀，摩利斯乜你咁搞法啊？咁樣頂翻埋去喎！好在咧，呢個咧係波倫頂翻出嚟咋。
喺到而家咧，即係佢哋即係唔係咁難去攔截英格蘭啲波，因為好主動、好積極咧，而且。
哎呀，呢個嗰個機會啊，睇下好在斯路頓醒目啊！
哇！如果射多2-0啊，相信呢個冷門爆得好大啦，安仔啊！安仔話愛爾蘭，啲愛爾蘭真係都俾贏咗。
呢球波啊，斯魯頓醒㗎，你扶持少少都唔掂啊！
英格蘭嗰啲擁躉啊，真係一冇晒聲氣就坐喺度啊！
波球，好啦，愛爾蘭都得波球，麥格夫去頂啊，但係斯魯頓打出，仲冇人追個波，終於個波界外球，愛爾蘭都界外球啦！個斯魯頓幾怒氣啊！後盾咧又預備去抌呢個界外球啦！
效力話曼聯嗰個麥格夫咧，佢射入上去助攻嘅身材好啊，一變咗對係英格蘭嘅後防亦嘅威脅力相當之大嘅。
球門球啦！呢個後盾咧係被視為全英國最佳嘅右中場球員喎，唔怪得知佢踢得咁生啊！真係。斯魯頓又開球門球。
喂，講就講啊，即係希望啊，即係英格蘭啲擁躉咧，即係輸咗波都唔好搞事啦，因為打波之前咧有6名嘅英國球迷咧就已經係因為要係侮辱啊呢啲警員咧咁啊被捕㗎啦已經，然後有80名嘅英國同埋意大利球迷週末咧就喺法蘭克福咧火車頭打鬥添啊！
咁啊，當然希望英國唔好啲球迷唔好再生事幹㗎啦。咁如果唔係有禁制咁啊大劑。哇！森神咧又預備主踢呢個自由球啦。哇！好多自由球都俾森神踢喎，喺左邊去喎。咁啊，而家見到英格蘭丹尼斯冇辦法扭過人啊！森神後段又追住佢啦嚇，呢個球員真係犀利啊！史提芬斯走翻嚟中間，丹尼斯好啦，睇有冇機會啦，連尼加並壓之下，最後咧俾麥加比壓莫利斯，大家鬥幾手啊！都係愛爾蘭嘅界外球啦。
打到而家覺得咧比較係愛爾蘭方面啲球員比較積極啲，同埋決心好似大啲咁啊。係啊。反而英格蘭方面啲球員好似踢得好沉啊，好似班尼斯咁，平時嗰啲波啊攞住波去一個扭幾個啊嘛。但係今日都唔見佢表現出佢自己嘅個人技術。有機會啦，俾入嚟。
睇有冇機會啦！麥加菲猛壓住佢，鬥壓啦！終於麥加菲解圍啊！越位添喎！
落筆打三更啊！
佢唔知而家先點樣諗法啦，諗下點樣下半場啦，唯有如果上半場唔掂就。
如果愛爾蘭真係贏咗英格蘭嘅話咧，益晒真係蘇聯同埋荷蘭啊！
益晒荷蘭同蘇聯啦！好啦，而家嚟過阿連尼加，冇用啊呢個波，終於啊鬥咗出去底線。
Dump pass to center right to Bernier, but it wouldn't get through. Here's Jackass bumping in there along with Houle, and they start shoving. The sticks come up, but the referee, Dombrowski, comes over very quickly, takes a look, and he doesn't call any penalty.
Watch this trick save. Bernier had the whole net. There's no way. And he should have missed it. That trick, he shadowed that left leg unbelievably back. What a save.
Well, they're glad that we're able to finally get our audio lines connected through to Canada. And you can see what was happening, but we're sorry that the audio was not there for you. Here comes Frank Mahovlich racing down into the Soviet territory, trying to lay that pass out. It comes all the way back to the blue line, and back after it goes Howe. Back on the fence with J.C. Trombley. Trombley feeds it to the line and all the way out to center right. Back after it for the Soviets is number 32, Yuri Turin. Over to Gusev, and Gusev hooks it out to center right to Anison, number 22. Anison gets by Howe, and then it's hooked out here to Henderson with Mahovlich. Mahovlich trying to get by the line. Still has it. Puts it on his right to shoot. Oh, Paul Henderson stands on the puck that was bouncing. Here's his out to the blue line. Malstead taking down the left side. One man back. Right out in front. And number 18, Mikulov. And the shot was blocked down there by the Canadian defense there as Trombley comes roaring right back with Bruce McGregor. McGregor at the blue line. He puts the pass right over in front of the net. And the shot is blocked by the goalkeeper as McGregor is knocked down in front of the net. And Malstead comes racing back on the left wing. Malstead, number 10, shoots. Blocked by Jerry Peters, and he grabs it to hold on.
We enter break 2-on-1 and 3-on-2 and 1-on-1. Each candidate had more good scoring opportunities in the first period, and I think they had more last week.
On the shot, right by the goalpost, it comes over to Vasiliev. It's poke checked away from him by Paul Smear, but it's held in by Petrov. Petrov is bucked. It's taken by Smear. Out to center ice, but the pass would not go across by Bobby Hull. Soviets lining up at their own line. This is Mihailov, number 13. They picked that big, wide use of the ice to set up that passing combination. This is Ricky Smith. Shot is knocked down. McKenzie bucks into Gusev. And the puck slides down into Canadian territory. And the referee, Canadian linesman, Doug Rod, calls the icing. Coach for Skalagan. Anybody that's more placid than Billy Harris would have to be the Soviet coach for Skalagan. On the face-off, there's a shot. Johnny McKenzie hit a stick and it bounced high in the air. Mihailov racing back down the right side, trying to get in front of that net. They do. They turn out of his belly. Just blocked the shot, and then Petrov there. Halfway mark of the first period. 2-0 for the Soviet Union. Back out at center ice, it's Petrov. Petrov back to the line, all the way back to number 2, Alexander Gusev. Gusev is pass to Petrov. Here's on the right side. Here goes Harlamov. He hits the goalpost. Harlamov with a backhand shot. Hits the goalpost. Here it is to the side of the net again. It's Rick Smith trying to tie him up. It's around the boards to Vasiliev. Vasiliev back inside the Canadian zone as Keevers blocks the back of the net. Now Paul Smear trying to come out with it. Long pass. Taken down the left side by Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull faked the shot. He's kind of up into the boards. And play carries right on as Petrov holds the puck against the boards and gets the whistle on the play.
Look at this. Harlamov, and every time you look up, the little fellow's got the puck and forcing Team Canada to come up with some great plays. Beginning to look like the Russian skating ability and their pinpoint passing is starting to take control of the game. At least it's given them many good scoring opportunities.
Back to the blue line now as it gets set for Ricky Lee. He shoots, and that's deflected wide as Gordie Howe tried to poke it to the corner of the net, and he poked it too wide. There's Backstrom fighting for the puck as it's taken back to the blue line by Stapleton. That hit a leg and comes all the way out to center ice. Ricky Lee drops it back for Gordie Howe. Howe puts it over right onto the stick of Ralph Backstrom. Backstrom fighting for it inside the Soviet zone. Here it is with Backstrom again, and he's hit there by Zigankov. Down the boards once more. The Canadians try to apply a little pressure. That's Mark Howe putting it out in front, and nobody there. Long pass to Lebedev. Lebedev with Yakushev. He's in front with Shadrian. And he gets set. The shot goes wide of the goalpost. It's loose and finally cleared down the ice. Soviets are now, with that 2-goal lead, they're starting to set the people out in front. That is to say, breakaway men up at center ice. Mihailov opened on the first rush of the game from Harlamov to make it 1-0 for the Soviet Union.
And number 15 around the Canadian defense. Certainly they're just flying, and they're that pinpoint passing and the threat of passing are forcing Team Canada members to get out of position, and the Russians are taking every advantage.
Now for Team Canada, yes, Rosie Houle passing it, but it hit a leg and never got through. Now Mark Cardiff falls, gets back up, the play is in front, here it is, getting set, goes Cardiff. Cardiff in front, they shoot, oh, and catch it! Soviets 2, Canada nothing. This is game 6 from Moscow. He scored 4 goals so far for the Soviet Union, including 2 in the opening game here the other night. Now it's Cardiff at center. The draw comes back to the blue line. They fire it in. The Canadians are keeping it in there. It's Cardiff right in front, and Houle reached for the puck. It was in the air, and he couldn't touch it. Here's Houle again, trying to get it with a backhander. Back to the blue line to Howe. And the Soviets come racing out with Victorov over to Anison, and the pass is too far. Serge Bernier knocked the puck forward. They ruled that he touched it over his head, but it didn't appear to be anywhere near over his shoulder.
Watch this play coming up here for the third time this period. Third Bernier has a heck of a chance and just can't get it up. There's a good check. Got us the loose puck. Now watch this great pass by JC. All he had to do was get it up. Tricky, come across. One bad stop, the other made the save.
Jack has been tested ever since the first 4 or 5 minutes of this first period. He said to make some tough saves to keep that 2-0 lead for the Soviet Union. Now the play. Back out to the Soviet line. A long pass to Harlamov. Harlamov fakes a shot. Oh, he pulls. A great shot after faking it. Now it's back to the side of the net, and it's taken by Mahovlich. Mahovlich down the left wing. A rink-wide pass over to Bruce McGregor. McGregor shoots. A great save there by Tretiak, and it bounces wide. Looking for somebody. Here's McPherson. He shoots. And it's deflected wide of the goal by Mahovlich. Back to the blue line again of Paul Smear. And that's knocked down as the Canadians are roaming all over the Soviet zone. Smear going in. This pass to the side of the net. Taken back and it's intercepted. Back comes Mikhailov. Number 13. Dumps it out in front to Petrov. Back over to the left wing as it hit a stick and bounced free. This is Petrov. Hit in there by Mahovlich. And the Soviets have it inside the Canadian zone. The pass comes out to center right. 2-0. Soviets over Canada in Game 6. Petrov. Number 16 circling forward to his defenseman, Gusev. Gusev with a long shot. Turned aside easily by Jerry Keevers. And Paul Smear takes it back of his own net for Johnny McKenzie. But he puts it out on the stick of Shadrin. Shadrin gets a second shot. And Keevers has to kick that one out. The Canadians playing it a little bit loose back there and almost getting trapped. Back out to the blue line to Vasiliev. Vasiliev shoots. That's loose in front of the net as Shadman was waiting for the rebound.
Got another real dandy going here. Now watch. Gets out to the Russian who lets the screen shot go. Keevers makes the big save and pounces on the puck. Both goaltenders are coming up with just great performances from that Tretiak as this corner robbed this line, Johnny.
Shadman in for the face-off with Andre Lacroix. Lacroix got the draw.
英格蘭好似打定咗之後咧，就已經開始咧控制翻個戰局咯喎。連尼加有冇機會啊？咁但係冇啦，俾翻嚟個麥格夫咧頂橫咗。曉頓。亞當斯咧走翻嚟自己後半場睇定呢個艾德烈治先。
Now it's inside the Canadian zone as Lacroix back of the net with McKenzie on the wing. Looking for Bobby Hull, but he's back to the blue line. There's Hull at center ice. Hull going in over that Soviet blue line, getting set for his shot. He drills it. It's loose in front of the net. And Tretiak has to come out to make the save again as Andre Lacroix was standing there looking for the rebound. And I need a right winger who's going to fight for it in the corner, and that's Johnny McKenzie. So it's been a pretty effective unit.
The Russians, though, are flooding the front of the net. They haven't been able to hit now with the consistency they'd like to.
Out on the face-off is taken by Ralph Baxter. Takes the drop pass. Gordie Howe tried to tip it, and he is hit. There's Gordie Howe going into the corner with Uric. Baxter in the corner to Howe, and Howe is hit from behind again. The puck is still inside the zone, getting set. Right out in front. A backhand shot is off the pad of the goalkeeper, Tretiak. But he was able to fall on it and hold on as Mark Howe had a great opportunity. Gordie has taken 2 or 3 good shots out there, and he's getting a little ruffled. On the face-off, the shot goes wide of the Soviet net. Back in the corner after it goes Mark Howe, number 11. Out in front. Bounces across the open goal mouth. Now is J.C. Trombley in the corner, tied up by Kapustin. Kapustin holds it against the boards before the whistle. Here he's open with that 3-3 tie in Quebec City. Canada bounced back 4-1 in Toronto. Russians then 8-5 in Winnipeg. Canada blew a 2-goal lead to wind up with a 5-5 tie at Vancouver. And the Soviets won the opening game here 3-2, and that round of applause is for the great player Alexander Maltsev. Shot is well wide of the net from the point, but the Soviets, led by Maltsev, now bring it out to center. It's picked off. Here goes Trombley. Trombley to Backstrom, looking for somebody to pass it to. He bounces it in front of the net. And Mark Howe was off balance. There's Gordie Howe running underneath him. Here's a shot from the side and off the glove of the goalkeeper, Trutjak. It's back of the net to Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe waits. Which way is he going to come out with it? They've got Backstrom tied up. They jam at it. And Trutjak holds it against the post. And with the score, the Soviets 2, Canada nothing. This is Game 6 for Moscow.
You can sort of sense this coming. Bernier just missed his shot. Great save by Trutjak, and there you see back to the point. Team Canada has not quit. They're keeping the pressure on the Russians, doing more forechecking. He's back to the point here, and there's the shot. Got it teed up, and away it goes, and it's tipped in between the legs. Back in the ball game. This has just been a tremendous first period of hockey here in Moscow.
Well, the referee gave us the signal for a timeout, and then he promptly began the play, and so there was unfortunately nothing we could do about it. Here we have a puck loose inside the Canadian zone. It's being brought out now by Houle. Houle with Bernier over to Houle.
Zone. We had broken up the Russian attack, and then Rick Smith took the penalty, but this type of penalty is going to hurt you in the long run, and it's going to tire out that number 12 who's just been a tower of defense on defense all through the series. That's Pat Stapleton.
So Mark Tardif goes off for the misconduct penalty. Rick Smith is in for a 2-minute penalty. And we're having audio problems is the indication we get, but so far it's back again. And we can tell you that the penalty, in case you missed it, was cross-checking to Rick Smith.
Goal 2-1. Vasiliev coming in over the blue line, and it's tapped away by Trombley to center ice. He feeds it back to Mikhailov in his own zone. He just fed it over on an open wing. McGregor slashes it back to Trombley near the Canadian blue line. For Stapleton, they kill some seconds ahead to Henderson. Henderson coming up, back in his own zone for Trombley. Harlamov going in to watch Trombley in front of the net. Trombley fooled him, went around the goal again. Out to Stapleton, and down the ice it goes near the Russian blue line. Gusev, a pass up on the left wing. Harlamov winding up. He gets across center. Harlamov had a stick lifted by McGregor. McGregor got a stick across the shoulder, but Henderson carries on. Henderson pass it back into Stapleton. Stapleton out to Mark Howe. Mark Howe down to Henderson. Henderson up for a shot. He didn't get it away. Now he tries to pull his way through. He's upended in the corner. The play goes right on. Vasiliev upending Henderson. The Canadian fans wanted a penalty, but no penalty coming. The Russians a man advantage. Vikulov cutting for the net. Mark Howe after him. Vikulov gets away from Howe. Vikulov still has it over on this side. Petrov had his shot blocked. Had it tipped away by Trombley. And now the Canadians hold it in their own zone. Henderson getting a whistle as he wants to get off, no doubt, for a change. And a face-off coming up in the Canadian zone to the right. Face-off to the right of Cheevers. 2-1 is the score. Russia leading. Shadreen with Yakushev and Vikulov. Luchenko and Sigankov, the two defensemen. Stapleton going over to the penalty bench. Bob Troy, as Coach Billy Harris might, to keep Stapleton and J.C. split for this game with other pairings. Trouble because these penalties have forced them to use this duo.
Shadman in for the face-off, gets the draw back to the blue line, but it comes out. Now it's taken by Yakushev. Over there on the right side to Wikulov. Wikulov 18 in the corner, bumped in there by Whitey Stapleton. Goes around to Yakushev, number 15. Yakushev gets the little bouncing shot in front of the net, and Shadron takes the rebound. Shadron trying to get set. Back in front, it's knocked down by J.C. Trombley, and he fires it to center. Trombley and Stapleton have been just sensational throughout this series. Here comes Wikulov trying to get through. Rick Smith is back on the ice, and he fires it up into the crowd. This is over at this end, but we just now have word that apparently our line was crossed to the CBC radio line, and now we go back to Bobby Hull, winding up at his own blue line. With LaCroix moving over on the wing. Here's a drop pass for Schmier. Now they race into the corner. Paul Schmier trying to put it out in front for Johnny McKenzie, but he couldn't get it. Back at the blue line, Lebedev with Shadrin, two men back, looking for that drop pass, and Yakushev is right out there in front. They bang at the loose puck. Paul Schmier clears to center. It's taken back over here by number 21, Shadalov, and it's over to Bobby Hull. Hull ahead to LaCroix. LaCroix back over to Schmier. And they got that passing combination going, trying to get Hull set up for his shot, but they're called offside at the Soviet blue line. 21 seconds left in this penalty. The clocks are partly covered by the overhanging rafters here. We have to glance on these, and we were just guessing at the time. But it appears to be 21 seconds left in the first period, with the Soviets leading Canada 2-1. And Easton on the face-off. Number 22 feeds it up on the right side to Vikulov inside the Canadian zone. Has it knocked off of his stick, and he puts it back out to the blue line. It's offside. Clock shows 8.5 seconds left. The referee, Billy Harris, really exploded down there. The referee was going to let that call go. I couldn't believe it. The puck was a good foot outside the blue line, and finally one of the linesmen came over and called it. And now they're bringing the face-off back into the Soviet zone to the left. Well, that can happen when you're a man short and you touch the puck over your shoulder in the opposing zone, unless they call it the intentional offside, and that's what they've done. Now the puck comes back out to Paul Schmier. Schmier is hooked. The puck slides down into Soviet territory as the buzzer sounds to end the first period. It's been a wild and woolly first period. First period where we've encountered several technical difficulties on our transmission to Canada. What happened, it was Mihailov opened the scoring on the first rush of the game. Then Marty Howe took an elbowing penalty. Vasiliev on a great play went in to beat the goalkeeper Jerry Cheevers on a little backhand shot up above him. Paul Schmier then drilled one from the blue line to make it a 2-1 hockey game, and that's the way it stands at the end of this first period. So with the score, the Soviets 2 and Canada 1, this is Game 6 from Moscow. Well, thank you, Don. The players are just returning to the ice, and as a matter of fact, they have just announced the presentation by the Soviet Ice Hockey Federation to Maltsev, Alexander Maltsev, and to Jerry Cheevers as the two most outstanding players in the game here on Tuesday night.
And and it was a rather deep gash. And they used this particular treatment so that he wouldn't miss any ice time. But they frantically called for Jerry Wilson a few seconds later and said the bleeding is still occurring through this particular substance. And Jerry had to cut this stuff out. It was hardened. He had to cut it out and then, of course, go ahead with the North American routine of putting the sutures in. So it doesn't work all the time. Well, we're set to go, Fred, for the second period. It's 2-1, Russia leading, and play is underway with Howe and Stapleton exchanging passes. Down it goes to the far wing. Harlamov gave it to Petrov. It bounced by him. Stapleton comes up with Gordie Howe. That pass was a little too far. Howe in after Vasiliev behind the net. Howe trying to get his stick loose, kicked it out to the blue line. Lee golfed it to the corner for Gordie Howe. Howe over to Backstrom. Backstrom tried to center it. It comes back near the line. Stapleton shoots. The rebound back to Stapleton again. He rolled it in front of the net. Here's Ricky Lee. Some pressure on now as Team Canada come to life in the early going of the second period. A long pass at center. Petrov without a stick is kicking the puck down the ice, and he does. But Lee has it in his own zone for Team Canada. Lee coming out slowly. Now he's over the blue line, coming down with Backstrom on the move. Backstrom cuts to the corner by Gusev. He tried to get it back. He did. A shot by Howe is deflected, went high, and Tretiak, taking no chances, reached up and held it. By far our best line. Bernier has 3 golden scoring opportunities. 1 hit the crossbar. And Houle, of course, got a goal. 2-1, Russia leading. And Russia on the move again near the Canadian blue line. Shadreen was stopped. Shadreen again in the center ice area. Bumped off the puck by Bernier. Now it's J.C. Tremblay losing it at center ice. Shadreen left it for Yakushev, ahead to Lebedev. Lebedev backs up over center, over for Shadreen, who is open. Or rather, Shadalov back to Shadreen. He took a shot. Cheever stopped it. The rebound to Lebedev. He took a swipe at it. Gets it back to Shadalov. A shot. High drive is blocked in front by Bernier. Bobby Hull in his own zone lost it to Lebedev. Out to the blue line. Sigankov took a shot. It hit Hull, and he nearly got a breakaway, but Shadalov was back covering up. Sigankov in his own zone. Laid it behind the net. Has it again. Got away from Houle for Lebedev. Lebedev stopped by Hull, and Bernier takes over. Bernier with Houle in on the wing against Shadalov in the corner. Shadalov poked at it. Bernier takes it, centered it. Here's Marty Howe, a backhand shot. An easy drive was stopped, and it was cleared out to center ice. Marty Howe lost it to Yakushev. Yakushev's rink-wide pass went to Lebedev. He hopped in over the blue line. Lebedev with Bernier after him. Lebedev checked behind the net. The puck goes to the other side. Yakushev couldn't stop Bernier. Out to Hull. Hull going down with Houle on the move again. Houle gets into Hull, and his stick was lifted by Sigankov. 2-1 Russia. Team Canada looking a little better now and coming close again in the second period. Mahavlich lost it. Hull lost it in center, and Marty Howe comes across center. A pass in on the wing for McGregor. McGregor picked it up behind the goal, then lost it. And Shadreen is coming out. Ahead of him, Vikulov. The long pass ahead. Couldn't hit Malsev. It bounced by him. Vikulov is stopped in the corner. Now it's Team Canada. 3 of them coming to center. McGregor on the wing. Going in with Mahavlich. Into Mahavlich. And he failed to tip it by Tretiak. He reached out for it. Just couldn't make contact. Henderson falls down. Now the play goes right on. Mahavlich went into the fray. Mahavlich comes out front with it. Here's a shot by Schmier, and his shot was wide. Rick Smith gets a drive away, and Tretiak gloved that one as he covered on the short side. But I'll tell you, Team Canada is looking 100% better now. They trail 2-1. This game coming to you from the Luzhniki Sports Palace in Moscow. Is the score. Russia out front as it goes back of the net for Lachenko. On the board, Schmier stopped it from the blue line. Vikulov couldn't take it away from him. Schmier on the board, cuts for the net, tries to drive in front. Mahavlich shoots. Tretiak kicked that one out. Mahavlich was tied up in front by Putin. And coming back for Kuzin, he took a drive. That was stopped in front, Kapustin rather. And Cheevers held it long enough for the whistle to go, and there will be a face-off in the Canadian zone to the right of Jerry Cheevers. Kapustin, the well-regarded young man who's been out the last 2 games with a broken finger, but he's back in there now, threaded into the lineup as Malsev came over the bench very slowly. He's one of their top guns. Anderson into the face-off circle against Lacroix of Canada. 2-1 Russia. Lacroix got the draw for Hull behind the net. He gives it to Stapleton. Stapleton on the boards coming out with Lacroix. The rink-wide pass was stopped, but Hull has it. Hull speeding in. Hull was stopped in front and couldn't shoot it. Kapustin turning around in his own zone, goes behind the net, gave it to Studin. He cleared it up on the right wing. That'll go all the way for icing likely. It does. It's icing against the Soviet Union. And the play will come back to the right of Tretiak. They played 4 minutes and 9 seconds of the second period. Faced off to the right of Tretiak. Vasilyev comes out on the defense again. Will Gusev. Lacroix to Hull. Shoot! And his low shot is stopped by Tretiak. A rather easy shot for Hull. Lacroix centered it. Tretiak stopping it, and he's going to hold it, I think. Yes, he does. Nobody in front of him, covering up, and he decides to hold it until they get organized, and they'll do it all over again to the right of the Russian goaltender. Hull standing behind Lacroix, who undoubtedly will try to get the draw back to Bobby Hull. Puck is dropped in, and it went to Mikhailov, to Harlamov, speeding away. Harlamov up near the blue line, circles back again. He's a great skater, played it back to Gusev. Gusev up on the line. And it's Petrov in with Mikhailov across the blue line. Mikhailov poked it into Harlamov, had his stick lifted, and Bobby Hull, covering up, cleared it back of the Canadian net. He got away from Mikhailov, dropped it in the corner. Now a pass for Stapleton from Lee. Stapleton up for Lacroix. Lacroix stopped, but Stapleton trailing the play, brings it on himself. Gets over center ice. Stapleton still has it for Lacroix. Lacroix over the line. Dropped it in for Bobby Hull, but Petrov cleared it away. A break for Harlamov, feeding in. He's all alone. And Keevers made the save with Ricky Lee getting back to harass Harlamov. The Russian fans wanted a penalty on it. Bobby Hull for Stapleton in the corner. He left it for Lacroix, and here he comes. A pass to McKenzie. Back to Lacroix, to McKenzie. McKenzie down the boards on the right wing. A pass to Hull. It was too high and went by him. Petrov comes out again. In for Mikhailov and Harlamov. The shot is blocked. The rebound. Mikhailov couldn't center it. Harlamov was bumped by Stapleton in front of the net. And the puck comes out to McKenzie, who's down to center. McKenzie in on the right wing. In front for Bobby Hull. And Hull couldn't get by Petrov. Petrov's pass down to Lebedev. He's coming in with Harlamov. Lebedev to Harlamov, and he's jammed out of the play by Backstrom. Into the corner. Backstrom got his skate down on it, and there's no further play. Soviet Union 2. Team Canada 1. Let's pause briefly for station identification. Canadian fans in the background, hollering for a goal. Canada trailing by 1. It's 2-1. 2 quick goals by the Soviets in the first period. At 25 seconds, Mikhailov from Harlamov, and then Vasilyev, while Marty Howe was serving a 2-minute penalty for elbowing at 2:43. It wasn't until 15:56 when Rejahoul tipped in a shot by Speer. Speer's shot came from the blue line, and Houle, standing off the crease, tipped it in. Now that's been the story of the scoring. 2-1, Russia leading. Investigation across the way is to start his misconduct when it will expire. Gordon Howe escorting the referee Dombrowski over there to check on it. Face off in the Team Canada zone. Ralph Backstrom in there to the right of Keevers. Now Stapleton has gone to Dombrowski, and Stapleton coming toward the Team Canada bench. The bench is immediately below us, the penalty box on the far side. So we're all set to start as Backstrom moves in. Bob? Chad Reams against Backstrom on the face-off. Kicked it over to one side. It goes back of the goal, and Tremblay takes it. A long pass went down the ice, and Howe couldn't catch up to it. Zagonkov was back quickly. Zagonkov put it on Murky, and they score! Gordie Howe from Mark Howe, and it's a tie ball game, 2-2. Gordie Howe jumping in front of the net as Zagonkov fed it back near the blue line, and he put it on right right on Mark Howe's stick. He took the shot, and Gordy speeding in front of the net just tipped it in, and it's a 2-2 tie. 6:15 the time. Equaling the count with his third goal from Sun Mark at 6:15. Bob? And you can see the delight written all over the old fellow's face when he saw that red light go on. Tip in from Mark Howe. Here's Mark again on the left wing. Took a shot in front of Gordy, and he's tied up by Shadalov. Play goes right on, right in front of the net it comes. And Mark Howe was too well covered. Backstrom on the board. Gordie Howe chopped at it, couldn't keep it in. It was cleared out to center ice by Shadreen. J.C. Tremblay lost it to Lebedev. Lebedev put it on Gordie Howe's stick, and he's in front of his own net. Now Howe in the corner, stick handling with it. Finally had it knocked away by Lebedev. Now Howe again tried to bring it out. Sagunkov stopped it, shot it wide of the net. Cheevers tipped it away for Tremblay. Over on the other side is Gordie Howe, with Shadalov watching him. Backstrom trying to catch up to it. Sagunkov is back in his own zone. Shadreen coming out with a pass to Lebedev. Yakushev moving in. Yakushev was bumped by Marty Howe and couldn't go through. Then it was cleared down the ice. It'll be icing if it reaches the goal line, and it does. Icing against Team Canada. A 2-2 hockey game. You're listening to Team Canada 74 on CBC Radio. Tardif, who's back on, having served his misconduct penalty on the boards in the Russian zone. In for a hole behind the net. Hole tried to center it. Bernier is after it. It's cleared down the ice by the Russians as this French line is doing great work for Canada. Bernier, Hull, and Tardif looking very good tonight. Now in their own zone, Tardif pumped it ahead for Bernier and Hull, the three of them together down the left wing. Hull tried to get by the big defenseman. Shootin was knocked to the ice, but Tardif went in quickly. Tardif centered it to the side of the net, and Luchenko bringing it out for Russia. Couldn't get by Tardif. In for Bernier. Bernier centered it right back in front, and Shootin was there. In on the left wing, the Russians bring it out to Pustin going down. Over the line, Vikulov. Anderson scores! Anderson put a shot through the legs of Gary Cheevers. And the Russians take the lead again at 8:22. That makes it 3-2. Three-on-two break, and the Soviets very speedily coming back. Good passing, and that swift shot beating Cheevers. So it's 3-2 for the Soviet Union at 8:22. Play underway again. Stapleton fed it ahead for Henderson too far. And Mikhailov, a long pass for Harlamov, is tapped away from him, but it was offside anyway, up over center ice. Harlamov looking for the long pass. He got it, but he was offside when he picked it up. Anderson's first goal, and Vikulov draws an assist. Faced off inside the blue line. It's cleared in from center ice by Lee. Behind the net, Gusev on the board. Coming out for Russia, stopped by Frank Mahovlich. McGregor and Henderson are in there. McGregor got in front and couldn't hang on to it. Gusev shoots it to the line. Stopped by Henderson. Henderson got it loose but lost control of it. And it goes back to the net. Harlamov in the corner. A long pass up on the wing for Mikhailov and Petrov. Mikhailov over the blue line. Tried to stick handle through. Henderson got back to clear it. Harlamov picked it up. Shoots it back of the net. Mikhailov is unmolested going after it. He left it for Petrov. And now it's Stapleton. Out for McGregor. The pass was behind McGregor. And Gusev is back in his own zone. 3-2, Russia leading. Now this is Gusev. Stopped by McGregor and Mahovlich with him. McGregor is stopped in front of the net. Couldn't make a play. Bobby Hull up the blue line. Took a quick shot. That's stopped by Tretiak. Hull went in after it again and couldn't find it. Lebedev speeds out. Down to Harlamov. Harlamov gets set. Back to Petrov. And the shot is stopped by Cheevers. Frank Mahovlich Up to McKenzie at center with Hull. Hull is stopped by Gusev. Back in for Russia. The drive. That one was wide on the short side. Frank Mahavlich. Stopped by Lebedev. It goes back of the net. Petrov and Stapleton go after it. And it's Lee to the corner with McKenzie and ready to help. It was cleared into the crowd by Rick Lee, and there's no further play. A 3-2 hockey game. The Soviet Union leading this game, coming to you from the Luzhniki Sports Palace in Moscow. Face off to the right of Cheevers. 3-2 Russia. J.C. Tremblay behind the net for Canada. Getting set from the corner. Tremblay's pass down to Lacroix. He's all alone there. And three of them stop him. It bounces near the Canadian blue line. And Shadreen brought it in with Lebedev. Again, Tremblay goes to the corner, drops it there. Marty Howe tipped it ahead for Bobby Hull on the left wing boards coming out. Hull backs up in his own zone with Tremblay handling the puck, or rather Marty Howe again, giving it to Hull. Hull gets away across his own line. Tries to get by Shadreen, was stopped. Now Hull takes it in the center ice area, waits for Lacroix to come back out, and J.C. Tremblay gives it to McKenzie. McKenzie shoots, and Tretiak stopped it on the short side. McKenzie and Sagonkov bump together. Out to the blue line. Marty Howe has a chance now. He fakes his shot. Marty out of the corner, back of the net. Tried to center it. J.C. Tremblay has it. Tremblay on a bad angle. Marty Howe gets set. The goal post has been moved. The entire net shoved out of position, and the play was called. Just moving the net off its moorings, but I'll tell you, that is not a good place to be if you're an offensive hockey player moving in there, because the work, the stick work, and the body work in there is just tremendous, and Dombrowski's just taking a look at it as a spectator. Face off to the right of Tretiak. Gordie Howe got the draw. Mark Howe couldn't shoot it. And Kapustin picks it up quickly and comes out over the line. A long pass ahead was tipped into the Canadian zone. Anderson went in after Rick Smith. Behind the net, Mark Howe was given a jolt by Kapustin. Then Mark Howe took Kapustin out of the play. They hold it on the board. Spear and Vikulov pushing at each other. Play was called for a face-off in the Canadian zone. Nearing the 12-minute mark of this second period, 3-2 Russia leading. They line up for the draw. Here it is. It bounces in front. And Mark Howe, nice bit of stick handling to come out with his father, Gordie, on the left. And Gordie Howe stopped it at the blue line. Gave it to Spear. Spear into the corner. Backstrom went over after it. He was slow and moving for it. Gordie Howe takes it. Mark Howe back of the net. In front it goes. And out near the line, Smith took a shot. Right in front. Backstrom couldn't set up Gordie Howe. And Backstrom is bowled over by Luchenko. Backstrom hollering for a penalty. It's cleared down the ice by the Russians, and icing called. Well, that's the type of inconsistent officiating, and the fans back of Tretiak in the section, mainly populated by Canadians, venting their displeasure with lusty booing. Face off to the left of Tretiak now. 3-2 Russia leading. Backstrom, Mark Howe, and Gordie Howe. On the face-off, Backstrom tying up his man, and then it got in front where Gordie Howe failed to get a stick on it. Backstrom carried the defenseman Vasiliev into the boards. Now they fight for possession. Vasiliev and Backstrom. They're swinging over there. Vasiliev took a swing at Backstrom, but the play goes right on. No penalty called. Harlamov dropped it for Petrov. He tried to set up Mikhailov in front. Smith gloved it away. Now a penalty is called, I believe, against Canada. Mikhailov was bumped down in the corner by Mark Howe, and now Backstrom is arguing with the referee, and this is where they just have to keep their cool somehow and not fight back. A cross-checking penalty, this one against Mark Howe. Shaved a margin of 15-56 of the first period, equalized at 6:15 on a goal by Gordon Howe, and Russia went ahead 3-2 on Anishin's goal at 8:22. But certainly, this chippiness is creeping into the game again. Backstrom hung up behind the net there, and no call, and this is what aggravated Ralph the other night with a call that wasn't made, and he got a 10-minute misconduct. So they're just going to have to keep their cool with it, Bob, and I don't know how they're going to do it. Petrov is going back into the fray. Now, there's an example of that quick suturing, and we can call it suturing, with the pace. He's back in action as Canada breaks out. McGregor and Henderson, a two-man break, a pass in front. Oh! And McGregor was upended with a great save by Tretiak on Henderson. Harlamov got it back along the blue line. It bounces out over the line to center ice. Oh, and McGregor has given a jolt at the far side and a punch. McGregor is being punched now all over the place, and I believe this could erupt into something we have never seen before in this type of a series. McGregor, who is probably one of the more gentlemanly players in North America, was taking quite a beating at the far side. He did not throw a punch. Did not throw a punch at all, and he took 3 or 4 hard rights.
Now, if McGregor gets thrown out of this game here, I'll tell you. Stapleton is over there, and he's giving him the sweater. He's pulling that sweater. It looks as though McGregor is headed in there. He gave him the choke sign. Well, it looks as though Vasiliev has picked up 5 minutes, and McGregor 5 minutes. Now, good grief. How can you justify that?
Can't believe it. Just can't believe it. Let me tell you, everybody, that's a 5-minute penalty for taking 3 or 4 shots on the nose is something that I've yet to see in a rule book, even here.
No way McGregor should be in the penalty box to start with. He had his stick held, and it works both ways. On that last play in the corner, Smith upended a man. There's no question about it. And Smith should have been called for a penalty in there. It works both ways. And yet, when you have this thing come up, how upsetting and frustrating it must be. Harris is down below talking to Pat Stapleton. Paul Henderson. It just upsets what could be excellent hockey. We've seen so much good hockey, Bob, in the games in Canada, and there were flashes of it the other night, but this is just inexcusable. The refereeing the other night was, as I termed it in a report, a tasteless Polish joke. Beyond the capabilities of these men, and yet they're threaded in. Deeply distressing. Here's Bob.
Well, Team Canada is short-handed now. They're playing 5 against 4. Backstrom in the center ice area will try to rag it a bit. Gives it to Tremblay. Up to Stapleton. Stapleton ahead to Backstrom. Backstrom tried to cut in. Nearly got by Shadalov. Shadreen coming back with Yakushev. Yakushev on the board. Fed it back to the blue line. Sagunkov into Yakushev again. Yakushev along the boards, just waiting with it. Now he spins around in the zone, gets it back to Sagunkov, to Shadalov on this side. He might shoot it. He gives it to Sagunkov. It's gloved ahead by Stapleton. Now again, Sagunkov to Shadalov. Shadalov gets set. Team Canada playing the box well. The drive is stopped by Cheevers. Cheevers is slow in getting up. He's down on one knee. Now he's back up. Along the boards again. Shadalov near the blue line, looking to work it free to somebody. Sagunkov shoots it, and his shot was wide. It comes out to Shadalov. Shadalov gets set. Team Canada just wasting time and standing in front of the Russians. They don't know what to do. Back to Shadalov again. Shadalov shoots. Scores! Shadalov drilled one, and it went by everybody, including Cheevers. That's another power play goal for Russia, and it makes it 4-2.
Well, that brought the fans here, the Soviet fans up, and certainly put the damper on the Canadian contingent. A second power play goal, Shadalov doing the damage. And that brings Markow out of the penalty box, and the teams now will play it at 5-a-side. Sigankov drew an assist on the play.
At center ice, Frank Mahovlich. Team Canada down 2 goals now with Henderson. Henderson lost it, a 2-man break. It's Nikolov breaking in all alone. Nikolov right in. And Cheevers came flying out, lost his stick in the process. Frank Mahovlich goes behind the goal. Mahovlich left it for Smith. Cheevers still without his stick. Schmier tried to shoot it down the ice, and he does. And Rick Smith gets the goal stick back for Cheevers. Good play by Cheevers on that break. Vikulov again trying to move in against Schmier. Schmier in the corner, knocked it behind the net for Frank Mahavlich. Out for Henderson, he's coming out slowly. Henderson near center ice, goes up near the Russian blue line, still has it, then loses it. And they clear it down, shoot it into Vikulov. Vikulov tries to shoot it, had his stick lifted by Henderson. And Schmier lost it near the side of the net, goes back to pick it up. Anderson after him, it's in the mesh, and there's no further play. They'll get a face-off in the Canadian zone to the left. You're listening to Team Canada 74 on CBC Radio. The face-off, play underway again, and Hull comes out to center. Hull with Lee. Lee cutting up near the blue line to Bobby Hall. He took a shot that was blocked by Sigunkov, and the Russian Petrov bringing it out. Gusev across his own blue line to center ice. Gusev pushed it ahead for Harlamov. Stapleton watching him. They get their sticks up right away. Harlamov forgot about the puck entirely. Lee is coming back. Rick Lee over the line, gets in front, waits, passed it into Hull, and Hull is stopped. He centered it, but Petyak covered it easily. A pass to Harlamov went by him. Stapleton takes it near his own blue line. Gives it to Rick Lee. 4-2, Russia leading. With 3:50 left to play in the second period. Stapleton bringing it in. Stapleton across the line, giving it to Hull. He lost it, and he has to go back to center. Lacroix has to get back on side as Hull passed it over to the far side for Lacroix. The Russians lining up at the blue line. Here's Hull with a chance, and a shot stopped by Petyak. Hull letting his shot go, but put it right at the goaltender. Now Gusev working it out with Petrov. Down to center ice. Petrov up over the Canadian line, dropping it back, and Bobby Hull picks it up. Hull coming back all alone. He has 3 Russians to beat. Shoot! And stopped by Petyak again. 4-2 the score with 3:10 left to play in the second period. Russia out front. Shadreen circling at center, coming up over the line. He got by Tremblay. Shadreen couldn't stop Houle, who came back to check him. Now Régin Houle coming out, weaving his way near the blue line for Bernier. Coming up with Marty Howe. Bernier is bumped at the blue line by Luchenko. And now Bernier is given another jolt. The play is called. Let's see if there's going to be a penalty. Luchenko and Shadreen each had a go at Bernier. Shadreen was the second man in, and the Canadian fans are hollering again for a penalty, but there's no penalty coming. And that one happened. Well, the referee had to get out of the way, actually. He couldn't be any closer. Just couldn't be any closer to it. Now Kalagan has called his 2 forwards in. That's Mikhailov and Shadreen coming in there, along with big number 3, Vladimir Luchenko, and Kalagan giving them some instruction as Billy Harris now calls, looks as though he's trying to get the attention of J.C. Tremblay. Now he calls Bernier over. There's a good deal of room in front of the bench, so you can go right to the rink side. He's called his 4 men in now. Team Canada in there, away whites with the red trim. The Soviet team in all red. Red helmets, red sweaters, pants, stockings. And the only thing really red, the back of the necks of the Canadians. I'll tell you, they just have to be so frustrated and upset with the tenor of this hockey game, which has come unstrung in this second period. Mikhailov backs up in his own zone. Laid it ahead for Shadreen, coming down at center. The pass to Chudin on the right wing. He was stopped at the line by Houle. And Russia coming back to cover up Luchenko for Chudin. He's out on the wing. Mikhailov got away from Marty Howe's check. Marty Howe made a good run at him, but Mikhailov saw him coming and moved quickly. J.C. Tremblay near center ice with Marty Howe. Marty Howe fed it on an open wing. Nobody was there at all. And Cuden, the defenseman, cleared it in. Marty Howe has it at the Canadian blue line. Out over it now, a pass on the wing. Coming down McGregor, gulp one in off the boards. Bernier is after it. Bernier stopped by Vasiliev. Now it's cleared near the blue line where Marty Howe shoots it to the corner. 4-2 the score, Russia leading. Team Canada needing a goal with less than 2 minutes to go in the period. And coming out again, Vasiliev for Russia has a hole on the wing. Shoots! And he grazed the side of the post with it. Just missed on the short side. In the center ice area, Mikhailov, number 13, back for Luchenko. A minute and a half left in the period. 4-2, Russia out front. And Anderson takes it. He lost it with a pass that Bernier takes it over the blue line. Shoots! And he drilled a hard one wide. Now Hull with the rebound. Hull tried to center it. Mark Howe gets set to make a play. To Schmier, and his shot is wide. To Pustin in the corner. Brought it in behind his own net. Came right in front of the goal with it. To Pustin coming out. A pass ahead for Anderson. Vikulov on the right wing. Vikulov got it in front. To Pustin all alone. And he banged on it. He was in all alone. 55 seconds left in the period. Anderson's pass on the right wing. Vikulov is stopped by Paul Schmier. Schmier lost it again. Now Vikulov stopped by Gordie Howe. Howe gave him a good ride on the board. Back of the net in the corner, Schmier being bothered by Anderson. Bernier tried to tip it ahead for Howe and failed. To Pustin had him covered. Now Schmier again turning. He has to hold it with his skate now with 31 seconds left in the period. 4-2 the score, Russia leading, and Canada needing a goal desperately before this period is over. 31 seconds remaining in the second period. We're going to have a chat via tape with Ralph Lashushin and Peter Walker of the embassy. We managed to corner them yesterday. They're very busy fellows connected with the embassy here. And we're going to get some of the background of life for Canadians in the city. Right off the draw, Cheevers had to make a stop with a skate save. Tremblay's pass too far for Stapleton. Mark Howe, though, at the blue line, gave it to him. Then to J.C. Tremblay again to Stapleton. Stapleton up for Gordie Howe. He has a little trouble controlling it. Then lost it to Vikulov. Vikulov to Anderson. Mark Howe had him covered, though. They push at each other. With 8 seconds left, Stapleton ahead for Backstrom. But he was offside at the blue line, and the play was called. That should kill the period. Just 5 seconds left to go in this second period. Gordie Howe tried it at 6:15 from Mark Howe as he tipped it in on Mark Howe's shot. Then Anderson made it 3-2 from Kapustin at 8:22. Shatilov on a power play, the second power play goal of the game for the Russians at 13:57. 4-2, 5 seconds left. Back to the Soviet blue line. Vasiliev comes back inside the line, and the horn goes to end the second period. The score at the end of the second period, the Soviet Union 4, Team Canada, WHA 2. Return to being the exciting hockey that we've known and appreciated. Set to go, here's Bob Cole. 4-2, Russia leading, and the third period is underway. Gusev, a pass ahead at center ice. Harlamov again on the move. He's going in on Tremblay, and his shot is stopped by Cheevers from close in. Frank Mahovlich near the blue line. Couldn't bring it out, but Henderson does with McGregor. A pass to McGregor. He kicks it across the line. And Vasiliev is back, but Henderson takes it. He centered to Mahovlich. He shoots, and he hit the side of the net after the puck came off Gusev. A pass for Mikhailov coming out. Mikhailov for Russia, in with Petrov and Harlamov. Mikhailov carries into the corner with it, stops. Mikhailov still has it. Now a pass to Gusev, and McGregor, slow in getting it out of his own zone. Flipped it up to center, and Petrov brought it right back in again. Took a shot, went high off Cheever's shoulder. Frank Mahovlich for Henderson. It went by him. And down the ice, it's icing against Team Canada.
But Harlamov was on the fly again. It's really where big ice tells the tale whether you can skate or not. And that Russian Harmonov can really fly. He went to the outside of J.C. Tremblay, took it to his backhand, and forced Cheevers to make a great save. That's about the fourth time tonight that he's done that.
Canadians have taken 35 penalties. The Soviets have taken 19 so far in the series. Bobby Hull faked at the back of the net. He left it there for Rick Lee as they come racing up the center now at the pass to Hull, but it never quite got through. Here comes Yakushev. Yakushev over to Lebedev. Lebedev, number 11. He lets a shot go, and that's caught there by the goalkeeper, Jerry Cheevers, and he holds on for the whistle. Lacroix into the face-off, gets the drop, pulls it back for McKenzie, then loses it. It's knocked down in front of the net. The bouncing puck comes over to McKenzie, head to Lacroix, and he can't get to it. So the Soviets, Yakushev took an elbow there from Johnny McKenzie. Here comes Lebedev racing into the corner. Stapleton going over to cover him. He does, and takes the puck away from him. Jerry Cheevers takes a poke at it as the puck was lying loose back of the goal. Stapleton takes a look. He sees Hull flying down that left wing. He tries to give him that left wing pass. It's onside because it was touched. Hull takes it into the corner and holds it there for the whistle. Andre Lacroix is good on the face-off, so they'll like to have them down in that zone, particularly when he try to pull that one back for Bobby Hull to get his shot away. Meantime, Coach Billy Harris goes to the complete change. Backstrom goes to center. Gordy and Mark Howe with Schmier and Smith back on the defense. Up front right around the legs of the defenseman, Rick Smith, and now it goes down into Canadian territory with Gordy Howe racing in after it. Back of his own goal, he feeds that pass on the right wing to Paul Schmier. Schmier is a good puck carrier. He goes into center ice. He's knocked off balance by the Russian player Kapustin. Back comes Vikilov on the right side, being shot over there by Gordy Howe, and Howe has him tied up. Off the boards, but not out. Russians still have control. There's Mark Howe bumping with the Soviet player. Here comes Ralph Backstrom, one-on-one, getting set. He shoots, and it's wide. Vikilov at center ice, number 18. Over to Eason at the Canadian blue line, and he's offside. Very rare thing to see the Russians go offside, and yet that's the thing that hurt the Canadian team so much here last Tuesday night. Every time they'd start to organize an attack, they were so eager and so anxious they were getting 1 and 2 men offside. Bernier's line is out there now against Petrov, and it's taken by Tremblay. Tremblay over on the left wing with Tardif. Tardif back to Houle. Houle has trouble with holding it with his skate. And it's Harlamov. Harlamov over to Petrov, and he loses control. And Houle is hit there by Bernier. Bernier still has control of it. Bernier works his way to the corner. Puck slides loose into the corner. Now it's back out to the line. It's being held. Here's where he takes a shot, then try to slide it through. Instead of drilling it, it's back again. He shoots. Oh, what a save by Tretiak. And Serge Bernier, he'll lie awake all night wondering why these shots don't go in.
This is his fourth excellent opportunity. Look at Houle, sees the puck. Get it back to Bernier. Look at right on his stick. Look how quick he lets it go. He takes a look, lets it go right away. And Tretiak with the glove hand makes just a great save. That's the third time tonight he's robbed Bernier. The line has played exceptionally well.
Bernier, I think, has been robbed more often in the series than any other player.
Here it comes again from another angle. Kept in by J.C. There's the big shot. Try to slide in front of the net. Now look at it come back to him. Look at the hole. There is the hole up high, and he was going for it.
Buddy Howe's shot from the blue line is high, and it comes out on the left wing. Back after it.
Far and Bernier over to Tardif, too far. To Gunkov. Stops at his own blue line. A pass ahead knocked down by Houle. He's in his own zone. Up on the wing, a stop by Gunkov. Into the corner against Marty Howe. Yakushev on the other side. Yakushev centered it. and Tremblay covered up for Canada. Put it on the boards for Bernier. Jean-Houl coming out with Marty Howe at center, in with Tardif. Tardif didn't see the pass, and Lebedev for Russia ahead to Shadreen. He is stopped. Houle finding some skating room on the right wing. Coming back for Canada. Up over the line with Tardif, and it's broken up in front of the net by Sigankov. Then cleared by Shadalov down the ice. J.C. Tremblay coming up to center. For Tardif. Tardif was given a bump at the blue line. Here's Houle getting in front, and Bernier fanned on the chance in front of the net. Pass ahead offside was Lebedev. Up over center ice, so it's called back. Now Sigankov and Tardif have something going. That's quickly erased as they both go off on a change. They're nearing the 5-minute mark of the third period. 4-2, Russia leading. And Canada was outscored, same margin, in the second. Long pass, stopped by Stapleton at center ice. Nikulov looking for that one. Ricky Lee stick handles up to center. Barges down the right wing with McGregor on his left in front of the net. Now Lee. Back to the blue line. Frank Mahovlich trapped it, tried to give it to Lee again and failed. Luchenko's pass, stopped by Stapleton. At center ice, Kapustin back to his own blue line. Got a relay pass, chopped it into the zone. Cheevers comes out of the net, though, and cleared it back of the goal. Cheevers, a pass up on the wing for Henderson. It went by him. Frank Mahovlich couldn't reach it, and the Russians in control again. Nikulov in the center ice area. A pass ahead for Anderson. He turns back. Now over on the other wing, Kapustin stick handled by Lee. Anderson took a shot, got it again in front of the goal. And Lee was on the spot that cleared to Mahovlich with Henderson with him. Mahovlich going in. They call it offside on Henderson at the Russian blue line. Kuznetsov and Budinov are on the bench. Maltsev was injured in the second period. He has not reappeared. In fact, he isn't even on the bench. So it's 3 complete units that they have out there. They're going to try and maintain this 2-goal lead. Schmier poked it ahead for Bobby Hull, and he comes back in his own zone to Smith. With Lacroix coming up with Hull and McKenzie. But Gusev has the pass from Lacroix. Gusev ahead to Harlamov. He circles near his own blue line. Poked it ahead. Paul Schmier knocked it down, gave it to Hull. Hull couldn't reach it. McKenzie at his own blue line stopped it. But Petrov was called offside anyway. And a face-off coming up outside a Canadian line. One of the Canadian fans with a cowbell at the far side apparently had it taken away from him, and he got it back again. Just gave it a jingle. That brings some whistles from the Russian fans. And now here's Mikhailov getting a break, and a slow shot is wide of Jerry Cheever's stick side. He was in very quickly, picking off a loose puck in front of the goal. Now McKenzie coming up with Lacroix. Lacroix over the line for Hull, but it didn't work. Petrov gets out across the blue line. McKenzie pushed him off the puck. Harlamov going in with Mikhailov. And Schmier sliding on the ice. Stopped the pass. Bobby Hull can't find any room to get going. A pass to Lacroix. And Lacroix's pass again on a Russian stick. Schmier lost it 2-on-1. Petrov going in with Mikhailov to Petrov. And one pass too many went by Petrov in front of the Canadian goal. Here's McKenzie coming out. He has some room to center ice. McKenzie into Bobby Hull. And that's stopped by Mikhailov, who cleared it down the ice. And the Russians are just content now with a 2-goal lead and are checking furiously. Nearing the 8-minute mark of the third period. Hull again. Doesn't find any room. And Shadreen brings it in. Shadreen on the left wing with Yakushev. He was stopped. Howe lost it. Shadreen again a pass. And Cheever stopped that shot. Now Shadalov let it go over on the other side to Lebedev. He's stopped by Schmier. Vasiliev back to Shadalov. And he fanned on his shot. 3 men break out for Canada. Gordie Howe down the wing. Up over the line. Had it poked away by Shadalov. And Shadreen feeds it over to Lebedev. It went by him. It was a high pass. Marty Howe with 1:20 left before the middle of the period when they'll stop play and change ends, and Gordie Howe comes out. He comes to center ice. Howe's pass in on the wing. Mark Howe has to wait for team members to get back on side. Gordie trying to help him. It doesn't work. Lebedev brings it in for Russia. He fell down as he spun around, went off balance. Now it's Markow up with a shot, stopped by Stigankov. He has the rebound, centered it. Chadreen is covering up in front. Markow in the corner. Hit Backstrom with a pass. Marty Howe let it go. That went off the leg and went wide. Stigankov against Gordy and Markow, and they get a whistle for a face-off in the Soviet zone. 4-2 hockey game. Team Soviet in the lead, and let's pause briefly for station identification. On the face-off, it comes back for Vikulov near the blue line. He has to back up again with Tardif watching him. Now along the boards, Anderson ahead to Vikulov. It's fed into the corner a second time. Anderson over for Lutchenko. Out to center ice, and Ricky Lee stopped it at center. Now Tardif moving forward. Put it over on an open wing. Lutchenko has it at his own blue line for Vikulov. Up to center ice, Kapustin up over the line. Kapustin going in on goal. And a backhand shot was wide of the Canadian net, but he went speeding in all alone. Bull back with Tardif for Canada. Bull stick handles over the line. Bernier catching up. Bernier gets in front of the net. Oh, and that's 5 times tonight for Bernier all alone. He couldn't control it at the last second. Another shot hit Hull. And Bernier broke up a play just outside the blue line. Up at center ice, Tardif to Bernier. Bernier going in with Hull shooting. And Bernier takes the rebound as the first shot was deflected. Then Judin hangs onto it with a skate. And the play is called for a face-off in the Soviet zone. 14 seconds left before they change ends. So this is an important face-off. Canada trailing by 2 goals, 4-2. Frank Mahovlich with McGregor and Henderson. Schmier and Smith. Every man up inside the line. Jerry Cheevers, the goaltender, is over at the Canadian bench talking to the team doctor, Jerry Wilson. Something wrong with his left hand. He's showing it to Jerry Wilson now. Can't afford to lose Cheevers, that's for sure. The way he's been playing in this series, just superb hockey. He's okay, apparently, and is heading back to the net. Jerry Cheevers gets a hand from the Canadian fans down in that end, and we're set to go to the left of Tretiak. Puck is cleared right away by Harlamov outside the line. Schmier in the center ice area shoots it ahead for Henderson. Henderson tried to go by Vasilyev and failed, and it's cleared to center ice again. There's the buzzer as Tretiak stopped the long shot from Smith, and they'll change ends and go at it for the final 10 minutes. The Soviet Union 4, Team Canada WHA 2. You're listening to Team Canada 74 on CBC Radio. Fred Scambatti and Bob Cole at the Luzhniki Sports Palace in Moscow. A 4-2 hockey game advantage the Soviet Union as the Canadian contingent to our left and across the way setting up a chance, trying to inspire Team Canada to some scoring punch. Now here's Bob Cole. And Schmier shoots one from center. It goes into the Russian zone. Henderson went behind the net after Gusev, who got the pass away. Mikhailov comes out across his own blue line. Hits center with a pass ahead to Petrov. To Mikhailov. His shot on the short side stopped by Cheevers. Mahovlich can't clear it. It's still in the zone where Petrov fed it back of the net. McGregor has it for Canada. McGregor on the board. Gave it to Schmier in front of the goal up to Mahovlich. Mahovlich in the center ice area again fed it to a Russian player, Harlamov. McGregor didn't see it. Harlamov pounced on it with Petrov going in. Shoots! Cheevers kicked that one out. And into the corner, Smith ran into Petrov. He's going to get a penalty. Petrov took a jolt from Smith. And he's pointing at Mahovlich now, Dombrowski. He's calling a slashing penalty. Don't tell me we're getting 2 of them throughout this hockey game. But Smith is off. He got the elbow into Petrov, and Harlamov is off for slashing Mahovlich. Uncommon call there. Bang, bang around a whistle. And it'll put the teams 5 aside. Face off in the Canadian zone. And here it is. Lacroix got the draw. J.C. Trombley coming out with Marty Howe. Marty Howe across his own line to center ice, up for Hull. Pass was tipped by Yakushev. Hull is in the corner, back of the goal. Can't control it. And Yakushev takes over for Russia. Coming out of his own zone, a long pass for Shadreen. Shadreen back to Yakushev, up over the line. He stops. Feeds it back again. They're just killing time now. The Russians, they're leading 4-2 with 8 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. At center ice, Shadreen moving it in. Shadreen gets set, goes back of the net with it, tried to center it, and Cheevers just put his glove on it and got a whistle for a face-off in the Canadian zone. So the fans on both sides now, Soviet side and Canadian side, have quieted down as they're just checking the game out. 4-2 is the score. Russia leading by the pair. And a face-off now to the right of Jerry Cheevers. Lacroix with Hull for Canada. Marty Howe and Tremblay. Back to the line. Tsigankov shoots. His shot went wide of the net. Cheevers moving on it, but he missed the goal. Tremblay coming out across the line. He's up at center, took a long shot. Petyak loved that. He'll hang on to it. And they get another face-off, but this time up to the Soviet zone, to the left of Tretiak. From the face-off, Backstrom put off stride. Gordie Howe on the boards, tried to knock it loose. And Gordie Howe gave Shadrin a bit of a push. Shadrin pushed him back. Now they have some words. That doesn't develop much further. Howe put the elbow up at Shadrin. Shadrin put it back again. That's about it. The Russians are changing. Vikulov and Aniston come out. They're 5 aside at the moment. Rick Smith and Harlamov serving penalties. They have 53 seconds left. Backstrom with Gordie Howe, Rick Lee, and Stapleton. Face off to the left of Tretiak. Backstrom got the draw, went after it, gave it to Howe. He didn't get the pass, and up to center ice. Vikulov stopped by Gordie Howe, who stole it, and Howe carries it back in his own zone. Out to Backstrom. Backstrom pushed it ahead for Howe. He's on the goal. Gordie Howe up across the line, stopping inside the blue line. Looks for somebody free. Gives it to Stapleton. Stapleton back of the net for Backstrom. Backstrom to Stapleton again. Tsigankov covering him. And Tsigankov takes over. Tsigankov ahead to Aniston. 2-on-1 again. Vikulov on his left. Aniston going into Vikulov. Set him up neatly, but he couldn't make contact. Now Stapleton ahead to Backstrom. He had a stick lifted by Aniston. Gordie Howe couldn't stop Vikulov. Vikulov circles back to his own blue line. Comes up near center. Good move on Backstrom. The penalties are over. Vikulov got it into Harlamov. He scores! Harlamov coming out of the penalty box. Broke in behind the defenseman. And the pass came up through everybody neatly. And he just tipped it in. 5-2 Russia. This game is coming to you from the Luzhniki Sports Palace in Moscow. Harlamov from Vikulov at 13 minutes, and it's 5-2. Now Schmier in his own zone with Tardif. Coming out across the line, Schmier got to center ice, lugging it all the way. Schmier up over the line, still has it in the corner. Paul Schmier bumped by Vasilyev. Play goes right on, it comes back to Hull. Up the blue line, into Hull again. And then the Russians broke it up. Harlamov looking for the lead pass. It didn't get there. He's offside, and the play is called. Bob, at this point, it would appear that the Soviets, coming out of their defensive stance earlier in the period, that they've got a little too much skate at this point. They seem to be able to blanket the Canadian team, and then when they do get an opportunity, Tretiak has been stalwart in the Soviet net, and that penalty after the twin penalties there to Smith and Harlamov, sudden thrust, giving them that 5-2 lead. Meredith bringing it in for Canada, got across the line, and that's all. Lebedev is coming back with Yakushev on his left, Shadrin trailing. Lebedev in around the net, circles the goal, centered it, and Hull got in the way of the pass, made it up on the boards, and it's over the boards, into the crowd, down to our right, and to the left of Jerry Cheevers, and the play is stopped. While the Soviet Union has gone to 3 complete units, and they seem to be outplaying Team Canada. They are outplaying Team Canada at this point. So this is almost a must game for Canada, either a win or a tie, because if the Soviets win tonight, a win or a tie on Saturday, and the series has been won. Into the corner. In the Russian zone, they hold it on the board. Anderson checking on Sigankov and Shadrin. And a face-off coming up to the right of Tretiak. Mahovlich with McGregor and Henderson, the forward line for Canada. Marty Howe and Tremblay. 4-2, Russia leading. McGregor got the draw. Hooked it to the side of the net for Henderson. He didn't see the pass. Yakushev brought it out across the line. Henderson, or rather McGregor, broke it up. Gave it to Marty Howe. And the Russians get control again. Lebedev bringing it in. Lebedev over the line in front of the net. It escaped. Shatilov had his pass stopped by McGregor. Mahovlich couldn't clear it. Lebedev got it back to Yakushev, was knocked down. And coming back is Marty Howe. Up with Frank Mahovlich. Mahovlich going in, dropping it back, and the Russians get a 2-man break. A third one is catching up. Yakushev and Lebedev with Shatilov. Yakushev right in. Cheevers went down and made the save on Lebedev. But they've been breaking in all alone in this period. 5-2 is the score. Russia out front by 3. Puck goes into Mahovlich. Out to the blue line. The Russians keep it in, and Marty Howe and Lebedev were high-sticking. There's a slashing penalty coming up. Marty Howe, I think, will be going off. Lebedev and Howe get the six up. Now Marty Howe wants to go at it. And this conduct penalty coming up to Marty Howe. But he wants to go at Lebedev. Now Lebedev is quite satisfied and skates away. Well, Marty pushed the linesman, and the linesman, that's the Soviet linesman, Nikolsev, put the hands on the hips. Now Dombrowski is trying to get him there. Gordon Howe is over there trying to ventilate the subject. As Doug Robb, the Canadian linesman, is there. He took a jolt from Henderson along the boards and was injured a little. But he's over there trying to cool out Father Gordon Howe. Mahovlich is there, and J.C. Tremblay is there. So Marty Howe will get 2 and 10. Wait a minute, the Russian gate has been opened, Fred. Now we'll see if Lebedev has a penalty. He's still on the ice near the Soviet bench. Well, I think there were the penalties called, Lebedev, yes, and Marty, and then Lebedev came up with the stick. A 5-2 hockey game, and this game coming to you from the Luzhniki Sports Palace in Moscow. Fred Gambatti and Bob Cole as Marty Howe skates across to the penalty box on the far side. He'll have 2 and 10 with 4:56 remaining in the game. Canada trailing 5-2, and their outlook certainly not bright, as it's been uphill from the 25-second mark of the game when Mikhailov scored the first goal of the game, and at 2:43, Canada giving up a power play score by Vasiliev, and since that time, the Soviets, with their great speed, taking advantage of penalties, came back with another power play goal by Shatilov, which gave them a 2-goal lead again in the second period at 4-2, and Harlamov, coming out of the penalty box, sped a pass from Vikulov, and at the 13-minute mark, it was 5-2. So, 3-goal deficit for Team Canada to pick up with less than 5 minutes to go. 15:04, these penalties. Marty Howe getting a minor and a misconduct. And Lebedev of the Soviets getting a minor penalty. So, 5 aside. Little repair job being done on the ice at the moment, just inside Team Canada's blue line. Dombrowski supervising that bit of work. It's McKenzie. McKenzie seizes every opportunity to have a chat with an official in the series. Face-off just outside the Canadian blue line. Bobby Hull in his own zone. Hull winding up, gave it to McKenzie. McKenzie coming out. At center ice is Lacroix. Lacroix going in with McKenzie right in on goal. And he centered it, but nobody was there but Vasilyev, and he played it down the ice. Team Canada moving back for it. And Bobby Hull coming out. This is a power play for Canada. Moving in is Lacroix. Lacroix tapped it to the goal mouth. They push at it, and the Russians get it away to clear it, with Mikhailov stopping at his own blue line. He is stopped by McKenzie, but got his pass away before he was hit. Petrov back to Vasilyev. Vasilyev up to Petrov again in the center ice area. They're killing a penalty now. Mikhailov went in for a shot, and he whistled it wide of Jerry Cheevers. Bobby Hull back in his own zone. He's around the net, starting out. Hull going in. A pass ahead to Hull. He didn't see it. Vasilyev after him, and it's cleared by Mahovlich down the ice. Cheevers comes 35 feet out to play it by Petrov, but just barely. Then at center, Mikhailov. Back in his own zone to Lachenko and Vasilyev. Vasilyev to Lachenko again in the corner. Lachenko shoots it down the ice as the Russians kill the time on the penalty. 28 seconds left of the penalty, and Hull going away again. At center ice, up over the line, Bobby Hull tried to do it himself. Trombley stopped it at the blue line for McKenzie. McKenzie faked his shot, gave it to Lacroix, who fell down. Now it's a pass by Mark Howe. Here's Lacroix to the side of the net. Back to Lacroix. They jam at it. McKenzie couldn't drive it in. Then he centered it. Again, Tretiak went another drive right in front. And a scramble. Hull couldn't jam it across the blue line. Here's McKenzie. Oh! He tried to hit the top corner and just missed it. Team Canada all around the net, but can't get it in. Into the corner, Chadrine stopped by Lacroix, and the play is stopped. Lacroix and Tretiak are having some words now. A lot of traffic around the Russian goal, but nobody could get it by Tretiak. McKenzie tried to hit that top corner. You could see him pick it out, but he lifted it too high. Just to sort out that penalty situation, Marty Howe got a 10-minute misconduct, and it was Lebedev with the high stick that got the 2 minutes, and that gave Canada the advantage there, and they had one good chance, but as Bob mentioned, that traffic around the net, just too much. Hull and Lacroix getting tangled up in there. They were inside the circular crease. And 2 minutes and 41 seconds left. Russia leading by 3 goals, 5-2. The pass comes to center ice. Rick Lee at his own blue line. Over on this side for Mark Howe, going up with Gordie Howe in the clear. He shoots! And Tretiak made a nice stick save on that low shot by Howe. Mark Howe keeping it in. Gordie again loose. Mark Howe shooting. And stopping that one was Lachenko. The pass coming to center. Vikulov going in with Kapustin. He took the shot, deflected into the crowd as it went off his stick of Rick Lee, and it went up over the glass into the crowd. 2:09 left to play in the hockey game. Russia in complete command now, leading by 3. It was 2-1 at the end of the first period and 4-2 at the end of the second period. Harlamov, having served a penalty, came on the ice and got a break in front of Cheevers all alone. Vikulov setting him up at 13 minutes. And that was the 5th goal. Russians changing again on the defense. Shadalov and Sigankov. The big line of Harlamov and Petrov is broken up. Chadrine is at center ice. Harlamov out on the left wing with Lebedev on the right side. Lebedev took a shot, again deflected over the glass into the crowd. So Mikhailov and Petrov have lost Harlamov on this ship. He's out on the left wing. with Shadreen and Lebedev, so Yakushev is probably ailing a game. There's a pass ahead for Tardif too far down the ice. It'll be icing. It went over the goal line, and it's icing as Tardif could not catch up with it. Yes, it may have been a costly victory here. Bob Maltsev, as I mentioned, did not come back to the bench for the third period. Yakushev is sitting there almost by himself, and Coach Kalagan had used three lines. Now he has the shuffle act going with Yakushev apparently hurt again. And, of course, it could be, with a 3-goal lead this late in the game, he'll be resting. Yakushev, who has a damaged right knee, torn ligament, suffered in Canada, and missing the first game here, but he's playing tonight. But you can see, not up to par, not 100%. Lebedev lost it in his own zone. Shadreen cleared it out on the boards to center ice. Vikulov moving in. Vikulov lost to the game Schmier. And Schmier back of the net for Tardif and Bernier. Tardif has the puck to Bernier. Bernier couldn't get by Shadreen. Rick Smith goes back for it with a minute and a half left in the hockey game. 5-2 Russia leading. And they'll take control of the series with this win tonight. Schmier put it by Sigankov, but it hopped over the boards near the Canadian bench, and the play is stopped with 1:19 left to go. Taking a look down at the two doctors, and Dr. Mark Young, I noticed him with a cut underneath an eye and a big black eye, and I asked him if he got the number of the fellow that hit him, and he said no, it was the puck that went flying over the boards, and he needed medical attention. They've got a face-off coming up in the center ice area. Frank Mahovlich with Henderson and McGregor, Lee and Stapleton, Petrov, Mikhailov, and Harlamov. Petrov at center ice, passed it back to Gusev. Gusev coming up near the center ice red line to Petrov again. They'll just hang on to the puck if they can now and kill the last minute and a half of the hockey game. Just about a minute left now as it comes down the ice to Mikhailov, knocked away by Henderson. Less than a minute to go in the game. 55 seconds. 5-2 Russia. So this one is in the bag for the Soviets. And the next game Saturday, the last game Sunday. Stapleton comes up over the line with Henderson. Back to Mahovlich. Mahovlich put it on the boards, and Vasiliev out to Gusev. Gusev to center. Harlamov stops it up the blue line with 35 seconds left. Gusev takes over. Gusev up to center ice. He comes back again. Hit McGregor with his pass. Mikhailov tossed it back to Petrov. Petrov over on the other side to Gusev.
Rick Lee starts fighting with Harlamov. And they've got a real old Donnybrook going out there now, and Paul Schmier is squared off with somebody, and well, this is what we were afraid would happen earlier, and what the officials will do about this, we have no idea, but Rick Lee started with Harlamov. They've had a feud going all night long, and there is one question that becomes patently obvious, Howie. How are we going to pick the most gentlemanly player at the end of the series?
Well, the two goalies are standing there talking to each other, and the substitute goalies were almost at it.
Well, Don McLeod went into the fray. He went in to pull Vasiliev off because Vasiliev had jumped on into a one-on-one situation, and he went in and pulled him off, and then he skated away. Now, what's going to happen? The scoreboard is so full and the place is so loud, we're just wondering how we're going to get any information as to what the outcome of this might all be. It was a rough game. It was a very chippy hockey game. There was a lot of spearing going on. There were a lot of things that had happened during the game. Harlamov is the first to leave. He goes right to the dressing room. And the players are... They're not even... The Russian players are refusing to shake hands. Gordie Howe is shaking hands with one or two of them. The Russians are being called back to the ice to shake hands. The Canadians are remaining out there on the ice to shake hands, but the Russians have gone to the dressing room. I see Shadilov, Vasiliev, Tretiak, Vikulov, Stigankov. They have remained out there to shake hands with the Canadian team, but the rest of them have refused to shake hands, and I don't ever recall seeing this happen in international hockey before. And as they turn to skate away, the officials still remain out there at center ice. Now, it's difficult to describe it. It's hard to explain it. It's hard, totally impossible to rationalize it. But it's a group of hockey players who are high-strung. They, of course, are very nervous and very exhausted. Tempers have flared all night. A lot of players took a lot of shots at each other. There was a lot of spearing going on, which, in my opinion, next to kicking, is the worst infraction of all in hockey. And there was far too much of that let go. The officials, I thought, as they said at the beginning of the game, that Dombrowski would fill the penalty box early, and this kind of thing would not happen. But now I see that Gordie Howe is being brought back out, along with, well, they're going to choose the two most valuable players in the game. Gordie Howe is one of them, but everybody has left the official area, so I don't know whether they're just giving up or not. I think what they're trying to do is they are getting Gordie Howe out, and the Soviet player Mihailov are coming out to receive the Olympic coins, the commemorative Olympic coins, as a gesture on behalf of Ron Roberts, the president of the WHA Players Association. Gordie Howe and Mihailov are now going out. I don't know whether we're going to be able to get Gordie Howe over to our television camera over there. They're calling him over, but there's such a group of militia down there that I don't know if even Gordie Howe can fight his way through that crowd to try to get to our camera. I don't know whether we'll be able to get him there or not. He's trying to make his way through to talk to Don Chevrier, and we might get some indication of this as to what happened or what the final result was. Here comes Gordie. I see they also have...
We're here with Gordie Howe, and the whistling's going on, and, well, what can you say? I mean, it seemed to be building up throughout the series, and tonight the tempers exploded. It all went crazy.
No excuses, but the referee's atrocious. The rules state anytime you drop your glove and take a couple of whacks, it's 10 minutes, so we end up with an extra 2, and they score a goal, so that broke the game wide open. But still, the game is puck control, and they had it. We had it in the second. We had a real good shot at. We tied up and looked like we were coming on strong and running a couple of penalties, and all heck broke loose.
Well, back in Canada, the committees to end violence in hockey are blaming the Canadian style, but there's no doubt Gordie is, or the Soviets are dishing it out every bit as hard as you fellas were, if not more so.
Well, different than what we retaliate with the maybe the odd elbow, the heavy body check, but what they don't see is there's quite a bit of kicking and an awful lot of hooking going on, and after a while, I know Coach Billy Harris would say, now retain yourself, and I know Team 72 said, retain yourself. A lot of guys I talked to, he says it's going to be hard to do, and that's right. It's impossible. But actually, I'm not going to cry about it. They have a tremendous team, and we have to be at our best to beat them, and we haven't been the last couple of games.
Why not? What's gone wrong?
I don't know. I think just a fever pitch. It's something which I was told about, and I couldn't explain it. That when the national anthem was played in Quebec, you sang with so much pride. You stood there and you're just shivering in your boots. The puck felt like a 5 pounds. And I think the adrenaline has slowly leaked a little, and we have to pump ourselves up because all we can do now is break even, and that wouldn't be too bad for a team that didn't have really, as we mentioned, didn't have much of a chance. And after you watch them practice, you start to believe it for a while. But I still think we have a good chance of tying this thing up and coming home with our heads high and a very proud feeling.
Gordy, congratulations on what's been an outstanding series for you so far.
Thank you. And for those people who are backing us up, don't give up. We'll try our best.
All right, Gordy. Let's go back upstairs now to Johnny Esau and Howie Meeker. Okay, we're back down here with Jean-Claude Tremblay. What can you say about it?
Well, let's face it, we lost the game. I don't think we should be happy about it. And I'm pretty sure that most of the guys are not happy about the refereeing. We didn't have the break there, and let's face it, they scored 2 goals on power play that made the difference, I would say.
The officiating, its inconsistency must frustrate a hockey player, seeing things go by that aren't called and should be.
Well, let's face it, it's on both sides, and I think he missed a few on their side, and I wonder why, because even if he's a Russian, he's got to call them on both sides. I don't know why.
Well, how does this team feel now? Can you and some of the veterans like Gordy settle them down and get them ready for the next 2 games here?
Well, I hope so. Let's face it, we've got to stop getting stupid penalties like we're getting and start to play hockey like we did at the end of the first period. I really thought that we could have come with a great game tonight. And they scored 2 fast goals, and after that we started to get the lives. And in the second period, we didn't do too good, and neither in the third. So I think we got to come up with 2 big games for the rest of the series.
Did you find the Soviets, as soon as you got to Moscow, the very first period Tuesday, were responding physically? In other words, they were eager to play a rough, tough kind of game?
Well, that's the Tuesday. That was the toughest game I ever played in my life. Geez, they were hitting, and we were, and there were lots of tricks going on the ice, and we got to play with it, and let's hope we came up a winner.
Physically, in terms of playing the rough game, how do they compare with all the clubs you've played against over the years in the NHL and the World Hockey Association?
It's not really the way they hit. It's really the way they play tricks on you most of the time. I know they hit a couple of guys tonight, like the number 19 hit Serge Grenier when he was hit. He should have a penalty, and he never got one. And when you expect a hit from somebody and you get it from somebody else, it's not the same, really.
What about the kicking and the other things that I'm sure you've never seen before in hockey?
Well, I haven't been kicked myself, but they've been hooking me and all those things, you know. But now I'm expecting them, and I can avoid them most of the time, really.
I talked to Gordy about this. I'm not saying the rough stuff, the penalties, are any kind of real excuse, but it has been a factor. But JC, it seems the Russians have been sharper, they've been skating better, their combinations are better ever since they got home, and something happened to our team, it seems, between the time we left Vancouver and Tuesday here.
Well, I think we missed a bit of training in between the series, and that shows there in the first 2 games, I think. Let's hope that those 2 games are going to do us some good for the next 2.
Let's hope so. Congratulations again on your personal outstanding play.
Thank you.
Now let's, again, go back out to Johnny.